Live.
Hello.
We're live. Hey guys, so we're going to talk you through our best gadgets piece. It's John and James here. Wait, I've done it the wrong way round. This is John, that's James. That's the way round it is. Bloody hell. So we're going to talk you through our best gadgets piece, which we've just published. It's a new piece that we've never done before. We're just running through all of the gadgets that we've tested and then the best one on each and every guide. So we've got the best phone, the best laptop, best TV, loads of different products, and we're just going to talk you through them. If you've got any comments, put them in the comments, and then we'll get to them at the end. So if you've got any other questions of why we picked a product or something like that, we'll try our best to answer your questions at the very end. So
I think it's just a really nice opportunity to kind of check in where, because you know, if you're not someone that, like, say, follows TVs on a year-to-year basis, you might not know where TVs are at any point in time. So by looking at what is the best TV in the world right now, and kind of just seeing, you know, where's the market at? What are TV makers doing that's interesting in 2017? So
we're going to rattle through all of these, and then basically at the end, if you've got any comments, put them down, and we'll take a look at them. But the first one is best phone.
Best phone.
So that's always the most exciting one for me, anyway. I don't think you really care all that much. So our best phone in the world right now is the Samsung Galaxy S8.
Not the S8 Plus.
Not the S8 Plus, interestingly.
Do we want to address that first? Or do we want to address the S8 versus iPhone comments that we are inevitably getting right this second?
Yeah, we hope so. The reason the Plus isn't in there is it is just so much more expensive. The S8 itself is already really expensive. And it's got quite a big screen now because you've got the infinity display, so you don't have any bezels around the side. That just makes it a better phone in general. The battery life is a little bit better on the Plus, but is it worth spending that extra money? We didn't think so when we were reviewing them, but we still gave them both incredibly positive reviews.
So the S8, the battery life, would that last like just a full day? Or are we talking like Lenovo P2 levels of like...
Not as good as the Lenovo P2, as John will be upset today. Yeah, not as good as that. It will be a day's battery life, but the reason we've got it as number one is the infinity display, which is amazing. That bezel-less screen just looks out of this world. It looks like something for the future, essentially. The power behind it, so you've either got the Snapdragon 835 or the Exynos 8895. So basically one of the most powerful phones in the world right now, if not the most powerful. And the third thing is the camera. The camera is just phenomenal, as it has been on Samsung phones for quite a few years, but they've just nailed it again.
So I've got a question about that power.
Sure.
Because I use like an older generation iPhone. I've got the iPhone SE. What do you think?
Still a current phone.
It's that's true. They haven't replaced it. You know, maybe September.
Yeah.
Do you think that that much power is like needed in a phone these days? Like, what do you think that extra like Qualcomm horsepower gets you? The really
good thing about the 835 is is basically its power consumption is just so low that it just really offers really good battery life. Right. I haven't used the Exynos version as much, but again, the battery life is meant to be really good. So
what's the Exynos thing you're talking about?
So there's split processors. So in some markets it's an Exynos processor, in some markets it's a Qualcomm processor. I forget you don't know these things.
So wait, UK
Qualcomm,
US
Exynos. Wait, other way around. Exynos here, Qualcomm in the US.
Australia.
Exynos, I think.
India.
Not certain for that. I would assume Exynos as well.
Oh, cool. So, and then like the final question I have about the S8 is, why not iPhone 7 Plus?
Why not iPhone 7 Plus? It doesn't have that infinity display, does it? It does have an amazing camera, and it does have good battery life as well. And again, it is very expensive, but yeah, it's just not got that amazing feature of that. And it is kind of samey compared to the iPhone 6s Plus. Yeah. Really, there were a few little improvements, but not all that much. Should we move on?
Yeah, let's move on. Should we do best laptop?
Best laptop. What is it?
It is the Dell XPS 13. So I mean, like constantly, whenever you're talking about like laptops, it's always Apple's MacBook line that kind of comes up again and again. And Apple really benefits from having that like lovely vertical integration because they do everything from the hardware right through to the software and even like a lot of the apps as well. But like the Dell XPS line is like has kind of consistently brought that same level of build quality that you've kind of come to expect from an Apple as a unibody design. Like to a Windows laptop. It has like absolutely like phenomenal battery life. I think in our review we do the 3D Mark yes the PC Mark 8 test, and it was running on that, which is like a quite a system intensive test for 4 hours, and then in our movie playing test it ran for over 7 hours. So this thing has like really lovely battery life, and then if you're a Windows user, it like really like it does a great job at like using Windows 10 to its absolute best. And to be honest, I think Windows 10 is a really lovely operating system. And I think whether your preference is for Windows 10 or Mac, I think is at this point a personal preference.
Yeah.
I think like Macs have that definite advantage of, I mean, for me at least, and this might be a very niche thing. I have no idea how widespread this preference is. I really like Finder in Mac. I really like the fact that it indexes the whole computer, so you can just kind of easily type into the search box like dumb GIF. And like have it like search all your folders. Where I don't like Windows, it's very folder specific in that way, so I find that super handy for like writing news stories and finding images and stuff. But I think Windows 10 is a great operating system, and I think it has its own benefits.
I regularly use Windows 10.
And so if you're looking for an XPS 13, an XPS 13, a Windows 10 laptop, I think the XPS 13 is fantastic. It's got a QHD plus screen, it's got an i7 7th generation processor in this one. It does run on integrated graphics though, so if you're gaming, probably not one for you. But if you're looking for a workhorse laptop, then XPS 13 is the one that we currently recommend. It's the best in the world.
So it's probably your most exciting category. Sorry.
Also, a quick one. It's one of the best small laptops. App has an SD card slot. They haven't ditched the SD card slot.
Fair enough. Just in case that didn't come through in the audio, it's got an SD card slot, which is, of course, very important for any content creators out there.
Like Basil, our video producer. Basil. So probably the most exciting one for you. I think this is one that you're going to get really excited about. What is the best TV right now? And you're taking a drink of water as I ask you that question. But
the best TV in the world.
What TV should I buy?
The Samsung. Well, if you have, how deep are your pockets, Mr. Peckham?
Unlimited money. Unlimited money.
Then what you want to go for is the Samsung Q9F. So the Samsung Q9F is Samsung's flagship TV for 2017. TVs are very iterative. You don't get massive improvements year to year. But the Q9F, basically its big improvement is brightness. Cool. So the Q9F goes up to 1,500 nits.
That's impressive.
Which is really important for HDR. Now HDR, in order to be like HDR certified, you need to hit 1,000 nits. So essentially it's doing like 50% more effort. So you might be sitting there going, why do you need that extra brightness?
That's exactly the question I would have asked.
Yeah, so partly that's for whites. So if you say the demo they always tend to show off is like a glistening like bit of water and stuff. So there might only be like 1 or 2 pixels in the entire 4K display that are actually pure white. But then the fact they have like that like 1,500 nits of brightness means that it really kind of sparks. It really looks really nice. But the other thing to consider is that if your maximum brightness is 1,500 nits and then maximum brightness is white, which is like on an RGB color scale, the red, the green, and the blue all turned up to maximum, then that means that any gradation below that is also going to have more headroom to be brighter, essentially. So the difference between a 1,000 nit TV and a 1,500 nit TV, you're going to have brighter reds, you're going to have brighter blues, you're going to have brighter greens, you're going to have all the brighter colors, like everything in between. So everything looks really nice.
Yeah.
All of this is kind of backed up with Samsung's probably best like OS to date. It's not called Tizen anymore. I think that they've rebranded it this year, but it's really nice. Sony's still using Android TV. A lot of people are very divided on Android TV. Some people kind of like it's got like a good selection of apps, but then they all have a good selection of apps at this point, and people kind of find Android TV a little bit sluggish. Whereas Samsung's interface is really lovely and slick and smooth. And it's got the magic remote that kind of works like a Wiimote and that sort of thing. So the Q9F is, for our money, the best TV in the world right now.
How much?
Very expensive. I actually forget the exact amount, but it's in the thousands. But if you check out our best TVs guide, we've got a bunch of more budget options for you. But if you want the best of the best, Samsung Q9F.
Nice.
Also, none of that curved stuff.
Yeah.
The F stands for flat, as TV should
actually
be.
It does actually sound flat.
So I think they have like the Q7C, Q8C as well. And it
should just call it curvy.
That is not the way
TV
name
curvy.
schemes work.
Yeah, sadly not. So the next one we're going to move on to again is for you.
Oh yeah.
Oh no. Yeah. Let's go fitness tracker. Let's move on to that. So move on to that. It's the Move Now fitness tracker. Now you might be quite surprised we haven't got a Fitbit or the Samsung Gear Fit or anything in here. That's purely down to the price. So the Move Now is available in the UK for £50. You can sometimes get it even cheaper in some of like the quick Amazon sales and stuff. £50 for a fitness tracker makes sense.
So okay, well, what does it track?
So I have not used it, so bear with me on this. Our phones and tablets editor, Gareth Beavis, was the one who did the review for this. So there's no screen on the Move Now, and that's kind of how you're saving the money a little bit there. That's how it seems to be for me. It does do heart rate. It does do all of your basic fitness tracking, essentially. but it's 50 quid, and it looks nice, and it just works. And when you're paying like £120 plus for something like a Fitbit Charge 2, which does do a little bit more, but not really all that much more, and you're kind of just getting that display. If you're going to be looking at your phone for your stats, you're kind of going to be happy with the move now.
That's fair enough. So it doesn't do GPS tracking. Does it do sleep tracking?
I think it does do sleep tracking.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's fair.
And you've got a 6-month battery life with it.
That sounds pretty good to me. Yeah, I used the Fitbit Charge 2 for a little bit, and you're right. Like, yeah, like not great battery life. I tended to take it off when I was showering in the morning, just to kind of top it up every morning.
Sure.
But yeah, no, you're right. Like when you're looking at stuff like step counting and like heart rate, yeah, it's nice to kind of look at it there, and like it kind of work. It means it works as a watch as well. But
yeah,
like it's more interesting when the data's on your phone.
Yeah, I find I generally I would prefer to look at my phone to see the stats properly rather than like cycling through a few screens on my wrist. Let's move on again. So we'll move on to the best games console in the world right now. What is it, Mr. John Porter?
Oh god, I can feel the comments being spiraling out of control as I'm preparing to say this. But the best console in the world right now that we think is out, that is on store shelves, we think is the PS4 Pro. So of course the Xbox competitors, the PS4 Pro, the Xbox One X, isn't out yet. We have a preview up on the site right now.
Hands-on review,
if you will. And that looks like a very promising console. But so the PS4 Pro, it doesn't do native 4K for every single game. Some games are native. Most are using a kind of a fancy version of upscaling called checkerboarding. But believe you me, it's still upscaling. Having said that, even though it's not true 4K, the games still look really good. The HDR is still really impressive. And I think the thing that kind of like really wins it for us is the fact that the whole Sony interface is so clean and so nice. You boot up.
Love the PS4 interface.
It's really nice. Yeah. You boot up like the Xbox interface. It's there's a lot going on. There's lots of different apps, lots of different things.
Lots of adverts. There's lots of just stuff jumping out at you, and it kind of distracts you from what you're actually trying to do. I usually find. And
like the PS4 interface, like it has gotten more ad focused over the years. But if you want to just jump in and play a game, it's a lot easier and quicker to get to that. Of course, the other competitor, which you haven't brought up so far, is the Nintendo Switch. Nintendo Switch is an amazing console. I gave it 4.5 stars when I reviewed it. I think it's absolutely amazing. But it doesn't yet have that same level of third-party support that the PS4 has. If you're a publisher and you're putting out a game on one of the consoles, you're probably going to be putting games out on the Xbox One and PS4. They're very similar levels of power. It's very easy to make a gaming experience that has like parity across both of them.
PC too.
Yeah, and you're not gonna put that same game out on the Switch.
Yeah.
That said, the Switch's third-party support is getting better and better.
Yeah, you get stuff like outputs and that kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. But it's tending to be very indie focused at the moment. Very good games, but they're not the kind of like the big blockbusters like the Assassin's Creed, the Call of Duty, those sorts of things. For now, I think that puts the Switch in second or third place. But I think, to be honest, it's aiming at a different market.
Yeah.
It's
exactly. And it's such a really hard, like best games console is something that people are looking for. Yeah. So that's a term that that's something that we write a guide for. Yeah. But it's a really hard thing to nail down because everything, like the Switch is doing something entirely different, and then obviously the Xbox One X isn't even out yet.
Exactly.
So we also want to talk quickly about our best camera. It's the Fujifilm TX2. We have not used that ourselves. Our camera editor Phil Hall has. So we're not going to talk all that much about that because basically we don't know that much about it. But it's in our guide there. You can find that in our best camera guide as well.
Best VR headset?
Best VR headset, yeah, let's talk about that.
Ooh, this is another really interesting one because it's a constantly shifting landscape. In our opinion right now, the HTC Vive is the best VR headset right now. It launched in a more complete state. It launched with 2 motion controllers. It launched with room scale tracking. In the years since it and its closest competitor, the Oculus Vive, have come out.
Oculus Rift.
Oculus Vive.
It's the end of the day
here. The Oculus Rift has gotten a lot better. Yeah. It's gotten its version of the movement controllers, the touch controllers, and those are now bundled in with every single headset. It's had a big price cut.
Yeah, really big price cut.
Yeah, so it is now the kind of the more affordable version. But the thing that kind of swings it is the Vive. It's room scale tracking as standard. The Oculus Rift can do a version of room scale tracking with the 2 sensors that now come as standard. But the way you kind of set them up is you set them both up in front of you, and so it's not true room scale because if you turn around, it loses tracking. So you can't kind of walk freely around a space like you would do with the HTC Vive. That said, you can add a third sensor to the Oculus Rift at the moment, but that doesn't come as standard.
Yeah.
And maybe one day they'll bundle the 3 sensors in as standard, and maybe at that point we'll have to reassess which is our best VR headset. But at the moment, we think that the HTC Vive is slightly
money no object. Go for the Vive.
Yeah.
Maybe if you want to spend a little bit less, go for the Rift. What do you think about PlayStation VR? Does that have anything?
PlayStation VR, I think
PlayStation 5, as you're going to say now.
PlayStation 5. I think the PlayStation 5. I think the PlayStation VR is really good for what it's doing.
Yep.
I think it's definitely the most affordable of the 3 of them.
Yep.
The thing that everyone misses out whenever you're talking about a VR headset is just how powerful that PC is. That price has been coming down over time. But it's still not as cheap as a PlayStation 4. Like having that, being able to plug that into a PlayStation 4 console that you might already own is a really great selling point. The resolution isn't quite as good. Although it has the motion controllers in the form of the PlayStation Move controllers, they're just not as accurate. It doesn't really do like room scale tracking. It's a more limited VR experience, and whilst it kind of offers something that's really approaching what the Vive and the Rift offer, it's not quite. If you're talking best of the best, if you're talking money no object, it's not the PlayStation VR.
So go for the Vive if you have bottomless pockets, basically.
I actually do have bottomless pockets.
Do you?
Fun story. Yeah, so I, because I have I don't know how this has happened. I think I might have sharp keys.
Okay.
I have worn holes in the bottoms of both of my pockets.
And you're just finding money.
So yeah, I know. No, so I literally, at one point, I put some money in my pocket, and I was like, oh, there's a 5p on my shoe. It had dropped from my pocket down to my shoe. Yeah. Oh yeah, all those 5p's. So technically, I do have bottomless pockets.
Should we talk about best tablet?
Story. Yeah,
let's talk about best tablet.
Let's make this conversation end quickly.
So best tablet is probably going to surprise some people. It's an iPad. It's the new iPad 9.7. So that's kind of a difficult product to name because Apple have kind of messed that up a little bit there, where they're just calling it iPad. So it's the cheaper version. It's not an iPad Pro. We think that price difference is a really big deal there. So I think you can buy the new iPad for around £350, a little bit less. I think it's about 340, and that is just really affordable for what you get in the iPad. You don't get the Pro accessories. You don't get the added-on keyboard. You can't use the Apple Pencil. That is a problem if you want to use those accessories. But for just a tablet, the iPad the iPad 9.7 offers so much for that amount of money. For only just over £300, I think it's almost $400. Okay. Not the cheapest tablet on the market, but for what it actually offers, and you get iOS and everything on the tablet, it's absolutely fantastic.
What's the resolution of the screen these days?
I cannot remember right now. I've not looked at specs recently.
But like it's got like the thumbprint sensor, Touch ID. Does it do multitasking? Because the Pro does like full multitasking. Yep. But
iOS does full multitasking as well. So it's a 9.7 inch 1536 by 2048 resolution.
God, that's
so not quite QHD.
Okay.
And battery life on it is absolutely phenomenal. As it generally is on iPads, it's usually quite good. On the new iPad, it was really good. And actually, I gave it a 5-star review when I reviewed it probably a couple of months ago now, nearer the start of the year. But yeah, I can't recommend that more than
I mean, it's the boring answer, because the iPad was the thing that kind of made the tablet into the mainstream device that it's become today. But it just sounds like it's solidly put together. Yeah,
it's solidly put together, and you get the good battery life. Having access to iOS, those are the things you really want. And for £300, a little bit more than that, it's a really good, solid device. Onto another Apple device. So our best smartwatch in the world right now is the Apple Watch 2.
Yes.
So, currently wearing an Android Wear device. There's quite a lot of Android Wear devices around right now. So you've got the LG Sports. You've got the Moto 360s are still available in some markets. You've got other stuff like the Huawei Watch. Everything on Android Wear, plus the Samsung stuff on Tizen. But right now, we think the best full-round product is the Apple Watch 2, especially if you own an iPhone. Yeah, that's absolutely fantastic. The software on it is kind of a step above, I still think, than Android Wear. Android Wear has improved a lot with Android Wear 2.0.
What is it that kind of differentiates them at this point?
I personally just find the interaction just so much easier, like the actual interface of getting around to things.
So it's UI design.
It's UI design, essentially, and the apps that are available on WatchOS I generally find are better. It's a really tough contest for that right now, and we do think there'll be an Apple Watch 3 coming around very soon. Sure. Probably more smartwatches as well at IFA, or fingers crossed, more smartwatches there. But yeah, the Apple Watch 2 is the one to go for if you're going.
If you've got an Android phone, it's not worth buying an Apple Watch. This is maybe a stupid question, and I imagine there are loads of people in the comments telling me this is a stupid question. But is there any sort of connectivity with an Android phone at all?
So Android Wear works on iPhone.
Yep.
Apple Watch does not work on Android.
Okay, so if you've got an iPhone, then if you've got an iPhone, then you do have the option of getting. But if you've got an Android phone, then you just can't buy.
I haven't really tried this yet, the Android Wear on iPhone, so that's what I'm actually trying out at the moment because I'm using the iPhone 7 and then using the LG Watch Sport. Literally started using this yesterday, so I haven't really had that much interaction with it yet. But yeah, it doesn't work as well as having an Apple Watch. So if you own an iPhone, go for the Apple Watch is kind of my thinking at the moment. Cool. Maybe that'll improve soon, but not really that great at the moment. That's fair. So, next one, best headphones.
Best headphones is the Sennheiser Momentum Wireless.
Ooh, what a name.
So, like, Sennheiser make really good headphones. I think, like, that much... I mean, but then loads of people make really good headphones. I think the thing that kind of separates the Sennheiser Momentum Wireless is they're just a really nice looking pair of headphones. So many headphones are kind of like targeted at that like business traveler crowd, and that's fair because that's like those are the people that take lots of flights and they have loads of money to spend on headphones. But they end up being like really conservative, really boring looking. And I think that the Sennheiser Momentum Wireless are the ones that kind of they look nice, they look interesting, but they don't look gaudy in a kind of like Beats like it's bright colors, it's really loud.
Even some like the AKG headsets and stuff. If you get like a really brightly coloured pair of that, it's like it's kind of in your face.
So like, so I think the Sennheiser does a really good job of making stuff that looks interesting, that looks fashionable, but doesn't look too loud. And then the other thing that's nice about them is that they tick every single box you might want.
Sure.
So they're wireless. They have good battery life. They are also noise cancelling, and they also sound really good as well. And like, if you're looking for a pair of headphones that does any part of that better, then you're going to be able to find it. If you want like the best sound quality in the world right now, you want to go for the Oppo PM3s. If you're looking for the best noise cancelling in the world right now, you want to go for the Bose QC35s or maybe the Sony MDR1000X. If you're looking for the, best wireless, it's wireless. Although, having said that, Apple's W1 chip equipped headphones from Beats, the wireless connectivity there is really good, but then the sound quality isn't to many people's tastes. So the Sennheiser Momentum Wireless, they can be beaten in all those different areas, but as an overall pair of headphones, I think I'm kind of happy to kind of call them the best headphones in the world. And they're not cheap. No. They're not cheap at all. I think the last I checked, they were like about 300, 400 quid. So they're definitely pricey. But this is all about
if you want the best thing.
If you want the best of the best, then Sennheiser Momentum Wireless.
So that's actually a full list there. We didn't realise it ended on headphones. So thanks for watching, guys. If you've left any comments, if you've left any comments, put them. No, we will answer those in a moment. But we're just going to do a really quick sign off to the end of this video. So thanks for watching, thanks for liking, thanks for subscribing, and we'll get onto the comments in a moment.
See ya.
Cool. So jumping onto the comments. First
Comment
one,
time.
You didn't do a best budget phone. What would be your best budget phone?
We didn't do a best budget phone. That is a good point. So best budget phone is a little bit difficult because some of the markets are a little bit strange. So like some phones that are available in the UK are completely different to phones that are available in the US.
Well, what do you describe as budget?
Budget in the UK generally £200. Okay, that's our limit on best.
Over £200
on our best. No, under £200, John. So best budget phone for us in the UK is the Moto G5.
Yes.
So basically our entire best cheap phone is a lot of Motorola products. So the Moto E4 Plus was just pipped by the Moto G5. It's currently our second best cheap phone. But yeah, the Moto G5 just offers everything. It's got full HD screen, it's got good battery life, and you're talking under £200. So that's kind of all you're really looking for there.
I mean, there used to be another phone
at
the top of the best budget phones list.
One that you're kind of obsessed with, John.
The Lenovo P2 Wireless is just everything you want a phone to be. And for some reason...
Lenovo P2 Wireless.
The Lenovo P2. The Lenovo P2.
So the Lenovo P2 was a phone that I reviewed at the start of the year. Was at the top of our best cheap phone list in the UK. Sadly, 3 has now dropped that, so you can't buy it in the UK. So instead, they are now ranging the Moto E4 Plus, which is placed at number 2. Right. Fantastic phone for battery life. I reviewed it a week ago or so now, and I was getting solid 2 days life out of that. No other phone really offers that right now with intensive usage.
So why does G5 beat it?
Full HD screen, which the Moto E4 Plus does not have.
So it has what, 720?
720, yeah,
cool.
HD. Cool. Any more comments, Basil?
There absolutely are. John, LG Signature wallpaper TV all the way.
Oh, mate. I mean, you have exceptional taste. But I think that the W7 isn't going to be practical for most people. That thing, you have to wall mount it. It doesn't have a stand. And then I think also just you're paying so much more, And I think what you're really gaining is like that absolute like millimeter. Well, it's like 2.5 millimeters thick. And I don't think you're going to be able to make use of that space in your home. Like, imagine this. So you've got your lovely wall, you've got your W7 in front of it, and then of course you've got the soundbar, because you can't run it without a soundbar. That's where all the electronics are. And that soundbar is what, like, I don't know, half a foot deep? So all of this space that you're saving by having the panel be really thin is being taken up by that soundbar anyway. So my thinking would be, why not have a slightly thicker TV and then equip it with a stand? You can obviously wall mount the Q9F if you want to, and like I'd recommend doing that because it does look a lot neater. But you have the option if you like, say, live in a rented flat, as a lot of people in like major cities do, of kind of putting it down there. Having said that, the LG, the W7, like that, the picture quality is absolutely amazing from that OLED panel. So the difference there is that the OLEDs, they don't quite go as bright, but they go a lot darker because of OLED. And so you still get that like dynamic kind of contrast between like the brightest whites and the darkest blacks, but it's kind of like shifted down a little bit. Our preference is for the Q9F, because you get that better color performance from it. But mate, if you have the amount of money for an LG W7, go for it. It's not a bad TV in the slightest.
Nice. And that was from the British Unknown, which is interesting, because I thought if you answered his comment, then galaxies might implode. We thought you were the same person a few weeks ago.
This is because the British Unknown asked a question about the Lenovo P2, which led Basil and James to believe that we were
because you are obsessed with the Lenovo P2, and I thought I was obsessed with that phone. Yeah, well, it was
British and mysterious. Right, best budget laptop. Now you guys won't necessarily know this one.
No,
but
not
I've
all
done
that
some
good.
digging. Basil in the background, by the way, guys.
Hope you can hear him.
HP 14-inch Intel Celeron is what our laptops editor Matt Hansen recommends. It's a 4GB 1TB laptop with £269. So it was the HP 14-inch Celeron. Yeah,
nice.
Really
cool.
Good value. Okay. There's a weird uncommon problem with Samsung S8's rear cameras not focusing. That you have to smack the lens to get it unjammed. Is anyone else experiencing this? Have you seen it anywhere?
No, I haven't. I haven't seen that at all. I've not been using the Galaxy S8 recently, and I haven't come across that problem in the time I have used it. So yeah, I've not really heard anything about that, but I'll do some digging around it and see if we can find anything
cool one to look
for
into.
an answer for you.
That's focus jamming. It happens on a few phones generally, but yeah, if it's a general thing with Samsung, we'll comment away.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Thanks for raising.
Best OnePlus 5 alternative.
Best OnePlus 5 alternative.
Ooh. Okay, define OnePlus 5 alternative.
So OnePlus 5 is a little bit cheaper than general flagship phones.
Cool.
So
right.
we're talking £450.
This is maybe like best mid-range phone. Almost.
Yeah, it's kind of the top end of mid-range.
Okay.
It all gets really, really muddled now, essentially. Your best alternative to that is the Honor 9. Basically, it's £379. Got a really nice design. You're talking £70 cheaper than the base model of the OnePlus 5. Really fantastic power. You're getting a fantastic phone there. Or the Moto Z2 Play. That is a really interesting phone as well. You get Moto mods to stick on the back of your phone, which is awesome. The kind of modular design of it. I know I've been talking about this for weeks now.
How much do the Moto mods cost these days?
And again, really good battery. Moto mods are not that cheap. So you can get some for around £50, and then you're talking up to about £300 for some.
Jeez, what's the most expensive Moto mod?
I think it's the Hasselblad camera, or it might be the there's also the projector, isn't there? So yeah, there's a projector one as well. What's that? 400 almost.
The projector's over 300. The Hasselblad's 200. So.
There you go. That's very expensive.
Projectors on phones. What next? Dogs on the internet?
Hey, you don't need to buy a TV now. You can just use your projector. You don't need that Samsung TV. So
oh, buy projectors.
Cool. Any more comments, Basil?
Last one. iPhone 6s.
Okay.
Would you recommend someone currently pick up an iPhone 6s or instead pick up an Android phone like the LG G6?
Do you need to buy a phone right now? That's my question. So we're expecting the iPhone 8 and the iPhone 7s to launch very, very soon. The iPhone 6s is cheaper than the iPhone 7, but that's going to go even cheaper after the new iPhone is announced.
Oh, I see. So you'd say still go for a 6s even after the 7s?
Potentially, or if you're looking at the price of the iPhone 6s and you're happy, you could probably buy an iPhone 7 in a couple of weeks' time for a similar price, because hopefully we'll have an iPhone 8 and we'll have an iPhone 7s out there, so that will bump down the price of the iPhone 7. The reason you might go for the iPhone 6s might be that headphone jack, which we're not expecting on the 7s or the iPhone 8. So yeah, you should be able to buy the iPhone 6s then, but bear in mind that you're going to lose software support a little bit sooner than if you bought the iPhone 7. a year sooner, essentially.
Yeah,
but
well,
you should be safe for at least 2 years,
How long-
maybe 3
How long
years.
does software support go on? So like they recently dropped support for the 4S.
No, a
Five.
five,
For the 5.
and the iPhone 5C, I think.
Okay, and
Yeah.
those guys were released what, like
3-4 years ago.
3-4 years ago?
So-
Okay.
Way better than Android.
So you are going to get support for at least 2 years. Well, we think you're going to get support for at least 2 years. Apple may change their plans a little bit there, but yeah, just basically wait a few weeks, and the price of that is going to go down. The LG G6 is already dropping in price as well, so if you're looking at that kind of thing, but also the LG V30 is coming out in a couple of weeks as well. So I think if you can wait 2 or 3 weeks, that's your answer.
Last question, another one from the British Unknown. I'm getting an LG Watch Sport for free. Lucky bugger.
What?
Cool.
Is it worth
How?
keeping or should I sell it? Have either of you used the LG Watch Sport? There you go.
Dum, dum,
So what
dum.
do you think of it?
I've literally been using it for about a day. It's bulky. I'm really noticing it on my wrist, but in terms of Android Wear, this is actually one of the best things right now. I would definitely. Have you used Android Wear before? Is kind of my number one question. If you haven't, try it out. Like, see what you think about it, because you can then always sell it on after that. But it does offer something. It does offer one of the best Android Wear watches at the moment. So
Who's giving out Android Wear watches?
yeah,
for
how did you
free?
get that for free? Like,
Are
yeah.
you us?
Maybe it just has very deep pockets.
But yeah, if you want to compare it to like the Huawei Watch 2, which I think is actually quite thick as well, but still, I don't know if you can see it that well on the camera. Thanks, Tom. How you doing? Yeah, it is a thick watch that's I'm really noticing when it's on my wrist. I've been used to using the Withings Steel HR, which looks like just a normal watch. So switching back to this, but
Do you
in
find
terms
you
of
can't
Android
get your
Wear,
hands into small crevices
Nice
anymore?
design. I haven't really done that much over the last 24
You know,
hours.
you
I'll be
have
honest.
like boxes full of secrets, and you're like, oh no, and like the box is kind of getting around your hand. You're like, oh, you have to
you're
take
in
a watch
an episode
off.
of I'm a Celebrity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So the British Unknown clarified, on a 3 offer, you get the headphones and the watch.
What?
Free. Yeah, along with a phone.
With
So
the LG G6, or is that with
I
any other phone?
don't know the phone, but that
Thanks for
would
letting
be-
us know, though. I will go and have a look for that, because that
That's
sounds like
pretty
an
cool.
amazing deal, actually, especially with a free pair of headphones.
And cool. One last one that's just slipped under the net.
Thanks, guys.
From Hashem Bateka. iPhone 7 heat issue and problems. Should stick with the 6S or wait before upgrading?
So they're
So
having.
the iPhone 7 he's seeing has heat problems.
Hmm.
Should he just stick with his 6S or upgrade?
Again, what I said before, stick with the 6S for a couple of weeks. Let's see what the iPhone 8 is. Let's see what the iPhone 7S is, and let's go from there. We will be talking about that a lot on these live streams, so I can start to give more advice then. We don't know what's coming for either of those phones yet. We have really solid rumours, but that's all subject to change. So yeah, definitely wait a little while.
Makes sense.
Cool. All right. Thank you for commenting, guys.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
See you again next Tuesday.
No, you're going to see us on Thursday, where
Oh
we're
yes,
going to have
because
another
it's
live stream.
Tuesday today.
It's been a long week already for John. Right. Cool. Thanks, guys.
See you guys.